Hey guys, it's Katie. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Katie Wismer. I'm an author and an editor. I have 7 books out currently. My 7th book, Breakable Things, is coming out today, the day that I'm filming this, probably not the day that you're watching this. It's my 3rd poetry collection, and it's out now everywhere if you want to get it. This is going to be part 2 of the previous video that I posted about book marketing. So basically, it's April when I'm filming this, and I started an experiment back in March. The explanation of the whole experiment is in part 1, but just in case you haven't seen it, really briefly, I've been posting consistently on TikTok and on Instagram Reels to see what I find about marketing books and which one is more profitable when it comes to converting to book sales, and then also just some other variables and the differences between the 2 different platforms. So this video, I really just wanted to sit down and chat with you guys about all of the numbers and everything that I found. If anything in particular is really interesting to you and you want to dive deeper into that, feel free to let me know. Maybe we'll make like a part 3. So at the time when I started this experiment, I had 6 books out. Breakable Things hadn't come out yet. So it was really just marketing those 6. So those are the 6 we're going to focus on, obviously. And I took screenshots of all of this stats ahead of time so we can compare the growth from the beginning of the experiment towards the end of the experiment. So I should let you know ahead of time, going into this experiment, I was totally biased. I love TikTok. I've had a lot of success with marketing my books on TikTok already, and I don't really like Instagram. I pretty much never post on Instagram. Even though I've had it longer, it's just never really been my social media of choice. And even after this experiment, I did end up liking Instagram more than I did at the beginning, and I did enjoy posting my reels, but I still stand by liking TikTok more. So let me start just by showing you some numbers about the videos themselves. First, I counted the number of videos that I posted during the duration of the experiment. So I posted 42 reels to my Instagram, 48 on my main TikTok, and then I also created a second separate account just to post poetry on, and I posted 25 videos on that account. And you'll see there's a pretty big variation of views between these different platforms, and spoiler alert, I'm no longer posting on the poetry TikTok, which is why the number of videos was a little bit lower. I just found it not to be worth the effort and the time. I wasn't seeing any kind of results, and I just felt like I was again, wasting my time. Anyway, we'll get into that. So the best views that I saw on a single video on each of these, for Reels, it was about 18,000 views. On my main TikTok, it was about 108,000 views. And for my poetry TikTok, it was 156 views. I think that can kind of give you an idea of where I'm going with that. The thing is, I've seen my TikTok grow consistently since I started it. The poetry TikTok, I was posting consistently. I was doing all of the different experiments, all of the different variables. I tried different hashtags, number of hashtags, different content in the videos and stuff, and I wasn't seeing any kind of results. I wasn't seeing views, I wasn't seeing followers, and it wasn't just that like the videos weren't performing well. It's like TikTok wasn't recommending them to anyone, so they weren't even given the chance for new people to find them. So I just stopped posting them because it's like, I'm creating these, I'm spending time making these, and then I'm not seeing any results. Whereas if I post the same freaking video on my main TikTok, it does well. So initially I thought I was gonna compare a lot of data with the poetry TikTok, but since I kind of discontinued it, we're just gonna let that die. So then the average views that I saw across all of those videos in this time period, for Reels it was 4,757. For my main TikTok it was 6,139. This actually surprised me when I sat down to calculate all of this. I thought it was gonna be a much bigger difference because I had so many TikToks blow up and do well during this period, and then I didn't have any Reels get anything close to the like 108,000 views. So what I really found is TikTok, and at least in my experience, and at least with this experiment, has more potential for a video to really blow up and like really go viral. So you have more potential to get like 100,000 views on TikTok. However, you also have the potential for a video to do like 100 views, 200 views, and just completely flop for seemingly no reason. Whereas with Instagram Reels, the views were a lot more consistent. It was harder to have one break out and do significantly better. I had some do around like 20,000 views or something like that, but most of them would do anywhere from like 1 to 8,000 views. So they were consistently a little bit higher than the random like 200,000 spikes of TikTok. TikTok more likely to get something to shoot up drastically. Instagram Reels consistently pretty good is what I found. So let me show you the comparisons just of the followers. I wasn't personally looking to gain followers with this experiment. I was really focused on whether or not the videos were converting into book sales, but I do think it's something worth looking at because I do think it kind of helps gauge how successful the videos were on each platform. So my starting count on Instagram, we talked about this a little bit in part 1, was 7,906 followers. And now at the end of the experiment, I have 8,034. So we did see a little bit of an increase in followers. The thing about Instagram is every time I post, I lose followers. So I gained actually quite a few, but then, you know, I lost quite a few. So that was the net. And I haven't seen any kind of growth in Instagram. Usually I lose about the same amount that I gain. So seeing this little bit of a boost was surprising to me, to be honest. So then with TikTok, our starting follower count was 818, and we ended off with about 7,928. So we saw about 1,000 new followers over on TikTok, which is obviously significantly more than over on Instagram. So I've definitely found it's also easier to grow on TikTok than it is on Instagram. So before we get into the things to do with the actual books, we're gonna look at how many reviews each book got on Instagram, just Instagram, on Amazon and Goodreads before and after, and then also how many book sales I had in total during the month. I want to look at which videos performed the best on both of these platforms, which book they were about, and then just kind of chat about some of the other things that have to do with the video. We'll get to it. I had one video that did significantly better, and not like that significantly, but my best performing video, I'll just put it here. This was over on TikTok. This one got about 108,000 views, which is the most I've ever gotten on any TikTok. So this is following a trend at the time. I mean, if you're watching this later, it's probably not trending anymore. It's like, I don't know, 5 seconds long, and it's about my book, The Anti-Relationship Year. And this TikTok took my book, The Anti-Relationship Year, from my lowest performing book to my most popular book this month by far. So we'll get into that when we look at the sales and stuff. So this one made a huge difference for a book of mine that I've been struggling to sell. So I was pretty thrilled about that. Another video of mine that did really well is this one. This one got about 90,000 views. This one is not about one of my books. It's just like about kind of my target audience. Like, these are the readers who I think would like my books. So I didn't really see a huge surge of sales because of this TikTok, despite it getting a ton of views, but I did see some more followers, which I'm hoping might turn into readers in the future. I also had this TikTok do really well. It got about 62,000 views, and this one is about my book, The Marionette, which in general, my book, The Marionettes, tends to do pretty well on TikTok. It tends to appeal to that audience on there. So as long as I have one TikTok do well about the marionettes every week or every other week, it keeps my sales pretty consistent, and it keeps the book within the top anywhere from like 1,000 to 20,000 in the store. Some other ones that did well, this one got about 26,000 views. Again, it's about the marionettes. As you can see, a lot of these TikToks are similar. I'll use pretty much the same text. I'll use, or at least I'm looking at the same tropes, same kind of buzzwords, and I'm just using a different trend or different trending audio. And the one major thing all of these have had in common is my face is in the video. It's not just a text video. However, I did have quite a few videos do well that were the text was the main focus. For example, this one did pretty well. This one got 12,000 views. And even though I'm in it with the filter and the text over my face, you can't really see me. So the text is really the main focus. And this is just following a trend and a trending audio. And again, this one did really well to sell the books. Same with this one. This video actually did well on TikTok and Reels. I got about 9,000 views on TikTok. And again, even though I'm in it, you really can't see me very well because of the lighting and the filter and because of the text over my face. The reason why I wanted to point those couple of videos out is I feel like people feel like they can't be successful on TikTok without like showing their face, and some people like really don't want to. And I think there are some workarounds that it still gives people kind of a view of you, and it gives them like a face to connect to your name, and it makes them more engaged with you as a person and caring about your content, but you don't have to be like close up to the camera and like talking to it or anything. So if it's more comfortable for you to cover your face with some text and put on a filter where you can't really see you, it's still possible to have a video do really well like that. And there are plenty of other accounts who don't show their faces at all and have videos do really well. I've had some of my videos where I'm not in it at all do pretty well, but obviously all of my highest performing videos have me in them. Let me find an example of a video that's done well without me in it. I just didn't really post a lot of them during the experiment. So this video got about 13,000 views and I'm not in it at all. And this one definitely sold the book really well. This was for the marionettes. I have so many videos on my TikTok, so obviously we're not gonna be able to go through all of them, but if you want some examples and you wanna see how different kinds have performed, I'll have my link down below if you just kind of wanna scroll through everything. Now let's talk about which ones did well on Reels. So my highest performing Reel is this one. This one got about 18,000. And it's funny because this one was on TikTok months and months ago. I pulled this off from a long time ago. And this one did really well on TikTok also. So this is talking about my book, The Anti-Relationship Year. And because I had that one other video on TikTok that got like over 100,000 views do so well, that one definitely helped spike the sales for The Anti-Relationship Year. And I think this was posted around the same time. So we don't really know which ones were coming from that TikTok or from this Reel, but this one is the one that's done the best in the experiment so far. Surprisingly, when that one went a little viral on TikTok, it honestly didn't generate that many sales. And then I've had a lot, like I said, I think the Reels are just more consistent. I've had a lot of Reels get about 7,000 views, 8,000 views. This one got about 17,000, and you might recognize it. This is one that did well on TikTok as well. So I was surprised that this one did well on Reels actually. I feel like leaning into this is a spicy book, this is a dark book, tends to do well on TikTok, and I wasn't really sure if the Instagram crowd was gonna respond to that too. So I was surprised that this did well on Instagram as well. This video also did well on Instagram and TikTok. It's just kind of like a relatable author writer thing. This one got about 12,000 views on Reels. This one got about 15,000 views on Reels. Again, it's just kind of like a relatable reader thing. However, I was kind of describing my book, The Marionettes. So it wasn't as like in your face by my book. This is the one that did like over 100,000 views on TikTok. On Reels, it got about 13,000 views. So it still did well, but not nearly as well as it did on TikTok. And then one other one I'll show you, this one got about 10,000 views. This one also did well on TikTok, and this is about the anti-relationship year. I don't know how many views that got on TikTok actually. Oh my gosh, it only got 4,000 views on TikTok. This did better on Reels than it did on TikTok. That's surprising. So anyway, those are the best performing videos. And then some of the, like I was saying, if I posted the same poetry video, it didn't do well on the poetry TikTok, but it did better elsewhere. Here's one on Reels that got 6,000 views, and on TikTok it got probably like 20. So I think it's important not to give up, and sometimes it's actually not your content that's the problem. You really can't account for the algorithm sometimes. So if you can, try to repurpose content, pull back or pull old videos from months ago and reuse them, post them on Reels and on TikTok. And I know Facebook has Reels now. I really don't use Facebook, so I don't really know much about that. But don't give up hope. Just if a video doesn't do well on one platform, it doesn't mean it won't do well on another. So now let's get into what this has to do with books, because that's really the point of this experiment. So let's go one by one through the Amazon reviews. So my most popular book is The Marionettes by far. So we started the experiment out with 264 reviews on Amazon, and we're ending out the experiment with 283 reviews. So we got about 20 more on there. And I actually didn't make it a point during the experiment to emphasize reviews and ask for reviews. So any reviews that I got on any of these books just happened organically without me having to ask for them. And then Wicked Souls, which is the second book in the Marionette series, I'm sorry if you can hear my cats back there, started with 139 reviews, and we're ending off with 161. Poems for the End of the World, 110 to 111. Not much of a change for that one. Same with The Sweetest Kind of Poison, 123 to 125. The Anti-Virginity Pact, 123 to 126. And then the Anti-Relationship Year, 76 to 84. I'm hopeful to see that number continue to tick up, because the Anti-Relationship Year's ranking jumped up so much. It was in like the top 1,000 for a while, so I think a lot of people have downloaded it onto their Kindle Unlimited but haven't read it yet. So I'm hopeful in the next month or two that this book is going to start to get some more traction as the people who downloaded it actually start to read it, you know? So now let's look at the Goodreads stats. This is the before. I know it's kind of hard to see with all of them in one, so we'll zoom into each one. The Marionettes, we started at 645 ratings total. There were 2,245 people who had it on their to-read shelf. So now ending off, we have 696 ratings. My cats have decided now is the best time to play. So that's a good like new 50 reviews. We have 2,514 people have it on their to-read shelves. So that's like 200 people who've added it. So we've definitely seen a spike in readers for this one. Neither of my poetry collections are significantly different, so I'm not going to zoom into them, but if you want to check the different things, you can zoom in and look at them yourself. The Anti-Virginity Pact, we saw another like 30 people add it to their to-read shelves. Nothing crazy. Wicked Souls went from 328 ratings to 371. What are you playing with? Then the Anti-Relationship Year went to about 800 people having it on their to-read shelves to over 1,000, so definitely a good jump there. And then let's talk a little bit about the Reels bonus program, because I talked about it a little bit in part 1 of this video. So first of all, I was talking about how I was kind of worried it was gonna suppress my views the way that some people say Creator Fund does on TikTok. So I didn't really find that to be the case. I definitely had my views fluctuate with Reels, but nothing like so drastic that I feel like it was because of this. And I still had plenty of videos do really, really well after I joined the program, so I wouldn't let that stop you from joining it if you want to. At first, I was blown away by how much money the Reels were making, and it tells you your earliest Reels or your earliest views might earn you the most. I didn't expect it to be so drastic though. So for the first like couple of videos, I was making so much money per video and they weren't even getting that many views. I was shocked, but then it definitely did. I was kind of expecting it to be like a slow decline. It was a drop. It went from making like quite a bit per video to like a couple of dollars maybe per video, even when they're getting like 20,000 views. With all of those videos and all of those views, as of right now, the approximate bonus is about $240, which for posting videos that I had already created for TikTok that were just repurposed and I just put them onto Instagram, I mean, I'm not complaining about that whatsoever. Like I said, I was definitely surprised at how drastic the drop was, but I think it is nice that they pay you quite a bit more for that first couple 100,000 views or so, because it lets everybody earn some even if you're not getting a lot of views. So definitely nothing like that's gonna pay my bills or anything, but can't complain. So I think our last stat to talk about is the actual book sales. A couple of things I want to talk about here. I watched the ranking of these books throughout the month because I feel like that was the best indicator for me to know how many people were actually downloading the book. Since all of my novels are in Kindle Unlimited, sales numbers don't tell me everything because a lot of people read it through KU, and so you don't get notified when someone downloads your book in Kindle Unlimited. You just see how many pages have been read total. So the only way to really kind of guess how many people are downloading it is the ranking, because that number drops the more people download it. So the Anti-Relationship Year getting to the top 1,000 in the Kindle store, even though it was only showing up as like, I don't know, 10 sales, I knew a lot of people had just downloaded it in Kindle Unlimited, but it was gonna take some time to start seeing those page reads as people started to read the book. So I'm definitely hopeful that over this next coming month and possibly the next month, I'm gonna see that increase in page reads stay pretty steady with all of the people who have downloaded it in the past month. That's one thing. Also, I talked about this a little bit in part 1. This was a month that I wouldn't normally see a ton of book sales because it's not a release month for me. My last book release was in December. So every time you have a book release, you definitely see a spike in sales, and that kind of carries over into the next month, and then there's a little bit less in the next month and a little bit less in the next month. So you kind of go like this every time you have a book release, and it starts to go down until you have your next book release, and then it pops back up. So I had a release in December and I had a release in April. So March should have been the bottom of that curve, you know, before it spiked again. If I hadn't been doing this experiment, if I hadn't been really doing a big marketing push and I just let the books do their thing, it wouldn't be a significantly better month for me, you know? So the number I'm gonna give you is most of the sales. Some of the vendors take a while to process and send you the reports. Like, some of my books are in Scribd, which is a subscription platform, kind of like Kindle Unlimited. And so I won't find out how many people read the books in Scribd until almost next month. It takes a really long time to get those numbers, but I don't think it's gonna be that big of a difference. So around here, we ended up seeing 822 sales in March across all of my books. So about 800 sales. It's definitely not my best month as far as book sales go, but as far as months that are not a release month, that is probably my best month. It's definitely more than I would have expected for a bottom of the curve month, if you know what I mean. So I am really happy with that number. I definitely contribute that to those videos doing well on Instagram and TikTok. Hey man, meow. And something I like that you can do with Instagram Reels is you can go to the insights page. I don't know how well you can see that, and it'll show you the stats. So like for one of my, I'll just screenshot it and put it here, the one with like the red filter over it, you can see over 300 people saved it, over 30 people shared it. So those kind of numbers indicate to me, I mean, I don't know what people's reasonings for sharing things is, but I feel like maybe you're saving it for later because you're interested in getting the book. So seeing like high numbers for those kind of things, I feel like is promising as far as, you know, potential new readers. For those of you who've been asking about Maxine in the vlogs, here she is. Do I say hi? Do I say hi? So yeah, overall impressions. If you're already making the videos for TikTok, I think it's worth it to put them onto Reels too. There is talk of, sorry, now I have Maxine's hair like all over my face. If there's that TikTok logo on your video, Instagram suppresses the video or might take it down altogether. So if you save a video from TikTok, it'll automatically put that watermark on it. So the easiest workaround that I have found is save the link to the TikTok, and then if you just Google like, saving a TikTok without the watermark or something, it's like one of the first results, I'll link it down below, where you just paste the link to the TikTok into it and then it will let you download the video without the watermark. So that's what I've been doing. So if you're already posting really consistently on TikTok, I think it's worth the extra step to save the video without the watermark and then just post it onto Reels. I'm sure everybody's already been doing this and I've just been like putting it off. But even if they're not getting the same kind of numbers that I'm seeing with TikTok, like every sale counts. I'm sure some of those sales came from Instagram and not from TikTok, and it's not like it took me that much time, probably less than 5 minutes to post the video. So there are differences with TikTok and Reels. There are different trends on Reels. There are different trending audios and sounds and everything. So it is worth it to try and learn the platform. It was hard for me at the beginning because I don't watch Reels. I literally never go to that tab on Instagram. I never scroll on Instagram, period. So I wasn't like familiar with what kind of content was on Reels. I just kind of assumed it was the same as TikTok. And for the most part, it kind of is, but I have definitely found Reels to be kind of delayed. So if something's trending on TikTok in like January, you're gonna see that trend start to show up on Instagram in like March. They're kind of behind basically. So if you've already done the trends on TikTok, save the video and then post it on Instagram once that starts trending on Instagram. And if you're saving your video and it has the audio already in it, if you post it on TikTok or if you post it on Instagram, it's going to show up as like an original audio, so it's not going to link to those other videos with that same sound. So if that sound is also trending on Instagram, mute the volume on your video that you've posted from TikTok and re-add that same audio from Instagram, if that makes sense. So then you are connected to that trending audio instead of having original audio. Because even if you're posting a trend on Instagram, if you're not connected to that trending sound, it might not do as well. I don't know if that made sense. Oh, I guess something else we haven't talked about is hashtags. I haven't found much of a difference when it comes to Instagram Reels. I post a shit ton of hashtags and I've never found it to be a problem. To be honest, I didn't experiment with that as much as I probably could have, so maybe we'll do that in part 3. I've heard varying degrees of like only post 3 hashtags, whatever. With TikTok, you've got limited room. You only have so many characters. So I do try to limit. At first I was posting a ton of hashtags on TikTok. The fewer I've posted, the more successful I have found it to be. So around like 3 to 5 hashtags on TikTok I have found to be good, and actually not including any kind of like hashtag FYP, hashtag for you page. Don't include those, and I found them to be more successful. The videos have done better without those. I actually kind of think TikTok might be suppressing videos if you use those hashtags. It'll give you like a number next to a hashtag so you can see how popular it is, and I would try to find one that has like a relatively high number but as niched down as you can get. Like if you just do hashtag books and it has like billions or something, you're probably gonna get like pretty hidden down in that feed, whereas if you do like dark fantasy books is one that I've been using a lot. It's a lot smaller of a category, so my books are able to do well in that small category. You want to be a big fish in a small pond, not a small fish in a big pond, basically. So choose your hashtags wisely. And also be aware of who you're targeting with that hashtag. Originally, I was using like author talk, indie authors, self-publishing, which is fine if you were trying to market to other authors, if you're trying to get other authors to follow you and you want to be a part of the community. If you're trying to find readers to sell your book, you need to use reader hashtags, not author hashtags. what are they doing? So that's just like another thing to keep in mind. I think that's gonna be it because I don't know what the heck my cats are doing back there. If you want to check out any of my books, they're linked down below. If you want to check out my Instagram and my TikTok, so you can kind of scroll through the videos and maybe get some ideas, those will be down there too. Same with part 1 for this video, which is like the vlog of me going through the experiment. If you want to see a part 3, if you think we should do another experiment, if there's any like one particular variable you're more interested in that you want to do a deeper dive with, let me know. If you already followed me on Instagram or TikTok and you saw me posting like crazy this last month and you didn't unfollow me, thank you. I'm definitely gonna try and keep posting consistently because this has been so successful, but I am gonna scale it back and not be posting quite as much as I was during this experiment. I actually didn't find posting more than once a day on Instagram to be a hindrance the way some people tell you it is. I definitely think it's more successful with TikTok, but posting something on Instagram Reels like first thing in the morning and then posting one at night, I still had videos do really well when I did that, so I didn't really find that to be a problem. I tried to post like different kinds of videos. So if I posted like a poetry reel first thing in the morning, I'd post like a relatable author thing at night. Or if I was posting like marionettes something in the morning, I'd post something not related to that later, you know? So I just tried to like vary it up so it wasn't super repetitive. If you are an author who also markets your books on these social media sites, I would love to hear your insights or what you found or your thoughts on all of this down below in the comments. As always, feel free to leave any questions down there. Maybe subscribe and stick around if you're new, but I think that's gonna be it for this very long video. Thank you so much for sticking with me. I hope you have a fabulous day, and I'll just see you guys in my next one very, very soon. Bye.
No. Pretty Caroline, oh, 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 stone